need to know a ton about spirituality and emotional work and breath work. I need to know a ton about real estate. So I actually have to read on so much that I can actually step into almost any industry to have a conversation. Not because I'm an amazing speaker and I'm such a great orator and communicator. It's because I have so much knowledge. I'm just not worried about talking to people.
Yeah.
I hope that's an aha for some people here.
Yeah.
I hope that opens up, because here's the thing. You're worried about being too fat, or you're worried about being too poor, or you're worried about being too gay or too black or inexperienced or all of that. You can outread everybody in this room. You can outread and out hustle everybody in this room. I am not the best at what I do, but I have been put on a pedestal of being one of the best because I out hustled and outread everybody else in the room.
Wow. Okay.
I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Kat, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi there. So I used to be a teacher and I'm now a recovering educator is what I call myself. I also have 15 years sober and I help high achievers to stay sober, especially when they travel. And so I did my first summit via Shanda, and it was called Stay Sober While Traveling. And I want to make a new website that focuses on using transformational travel to help you invest in your recovery as I kind of coach you through sobriety and envisioning, retreats and things eventually. My problem is that people are getting unclear with my messaging. So I feel like I don't have that like set. They're like, wait, are you a travel agent? Are you just...
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
So what is it? If I pay you, what are you going to do for me?
Basically, I plan out somebody's entire year so that they can do all the firsts, like the first wedding they go to, the first Christmas they go to, the vacations, all of that stuff, because a big time that people relapse is like getting drunk on a plane or getting triggered by their family. So anytime we go into an unfamiliar place, it's really hard.
Caught up in process, and that's why you're confusing people. You help people step into you help sober individuals step into, I'm trying to think of the right word, into social scenarios, travel, social, and family scenarios without drinking, right? So don't get into the travel thing. That was very confusing. I mean, I get the travel part when you said I help them travel without and stay sober, but then you were like, and they're planning this. I don't even know what that means. That's process. Spend a year feeling normal in the sense that you're doing normal things. You're traveling, you're going to that first party, you're going to the wedding, you're being with your family. And I help you plan all of that and live all of that without being triggered to the point of drinking.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because I really love the travel aspect, but I think I'm focusing on it too much.
It gets very confusing. That's just an element in the process of it.
It is. Okay.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. Gina, what's your question?
Are you saying Jenna or Gina?
I'm sorry, I said Gina, but Jenna. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just checking. So just wanted a little help with messaging before I jump off. I wanted to connect with you because day job, professionally, I'm a family lawyer. And that is basically what I've been doing and want to continue to do, except to be honest, there's not as much money in it as if I were to help the other professionals do what I do. And I've created a transformative divorce model. So right now, Shanda's helping me build my nonprofit to support divorcees to rebuild health, wealth, and best self, and connect with the community of professionals that they didn't know they needed. So I am looking to connect with those professionals. That is my hope to do, to start my coaching community in coaching these professionals to become transformative divorce professionals. But right now, that safety net is in preventing more suicides and preventing more triage, helping the moms.
What are you talking about and what are you asking me? I am so lost.
Okay.
I need you to know that because I don't think this is landing. I don't think this is just me. I think this is happening when you're talking to other people too.
And I don't talk very much about it, which is why I'm a little scattered. So thank you. So
That's okay. That's okay. But reel it in. Tell me what's happening here.
okay, so helping divorcees rebuild health, wealth, and best self.
Get that. Okay.
Okay.
And why is it a not-for-profit?
Because license-wise, I can only touch Washington, D.C. within my profession.
I got you. Fine. Got it. Okay. Yep.
So I get to spread internationally with a heart-centered halo and love on people. So I am helping the moms and dads out there to rebuild health, wealth, and best self. Does that sound like it's a painkiller, or is that too vital?
Well, it's a little light. I mean, I work with a lot of people in the divorce space. I've had people have $1 million businesses in the divorce space. So, to build health. So who's paying you?
The men and women who are rebuilding health, wealth, and best self at this time.
So I think there's something be much more specific because health and wealth and best self, it's a little cliche in my opinion, right? It's like, I worked with a woman for a long time that said, I help divorced women, build multiple income streams, so they don't need to be dependent on alimony. Right? I mean, that's an example. I'm not saying that's what you're doing.
I
but
don't.
no, but do you see the specificity in that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So health, wealth, and best self, you're a nutritionist?
No, that's the thing is that I literally am coming in with this trademarked, process, and I am helping them to stop becoming ill from the stress and stop getting so broke from the stress and the process, and literally helping them to through somatics and financial supports. I'm touching on all aspects of their rebuilding.
Okay. So I think what I think it's a little vague, but I think it's in the right direction. That's what I would tell you. And it may narrow as you work with people. But I get that, helping people, it's pretty much helping people thrive after divorce, right? It's helping them get their life back on track. It's helping them not let this take them down. All of that is fine. So if your question is this a clear enough direction? I would say yes. And let me say, sometimes I tell people it's clear enough. And what I mean by that, if you haven't worked with 10 to 20 people and have proof of concept, sometimes you need the good enough direction so that you can work with some people to go, gosh, but everybody I talked to talked about this one thing. And I'm thinking I need to narrow this a little bit. And that will come with working with people and more people.
Okay.
But
Not painkillery though, trying to really resonate with it.
painkillery. It's not vitamin. I would say it's in between. And that's kind of what I'm saying. I would love for it to be super specific, and that's what it's lacking right now.
Okay, that's where I get to work. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Javelin, am I saying that correct? Sorry if I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Awesome. Welcome. What's your question?
Yes. So I help teen athletes. I help teen athletes develop a greatness mindset to become unstoppable in sports and life. And so my question specifically is when I'm going out and to associations and organizations to speak, what does my profile need to look, speaker profile need to look like in putting that together, whether it be to coaches or it be to parents?
When you say speaker profile, are you meaning like what should your assets look like that you're sending out so people will book you?
Yeah. If there's like a speaker kit you're supposed to send out with your bio, with this, with that.
So you want to put yourself out there to speak for free, right? So there's 3 types of speaking gigs, everybody. There's 3 types of speaking gigs. And I mentioned them very fast today, and we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, just so you know, we'll get into this a little more. But you can book stages, you can buy stages, or you can build stages. And let me talk about what all 3 of those mean. Booking a stage is you find an association, an organization, Sue Humphrey may be on here. Sue Humphrey's a client of mine, and she does what you do, but for coaches. She was an Olympian coach. And so she does it for coaches. So when you book a stage, it's like you find the organization, association, conference, and you say, hey, here's the topic I speak on. Use the part in the booklet that I gave you today of talk titles to come up with a great talk title. I think it's guys page like 19 through 20 something, but you'll see it's in the workbook that I gave you. Use that to come up with a great talk title. And then they're going to want to see you speak. If you have a sizzle reel means a short clip of you speaking about 3 minutes or under. Awesome. And sometimes you can clip different pieces together. If you don't, make sure you're speaking on social media and you can just send them your social media links, a 1 minute reel or whatever. The third thing sometimes people want is a speaker one sheet. I don't even show you guys a sample because you can Google speaker one sheet and 50 are going to come up. It's simply your bio, a couple of topics you can talk on, and some testimonials. That's all it is. You put those 3 things together, you're going to be in good shape. That's booking yourself on stages. Buying stages is buying sponsorships. Conferences, organizations, and associations that are holding meetings that sell sponsorship, and you could buy a spot to speak. Typically, you don't need any of that. I mean, a lot of times people will want to see your social profile just to make sure you can speak. They don't even want to, they don't want to take your money if you're going to be awful for their conference, right? But that's that. And then building is doing your own events, stages, master classes, webinars, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you for being here. Awesome. Julie Fallon. Julie Fallon? Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted. There, can you hear me? Got me. Okay, great. So this has been fantastic, and thank you, because it's actually helped me to realize I can build this business that I felt like I might be an imposter in. You have talked about being a dissenter, and I've had some other people who talked about doing speeches or getting attention by doing rants. And even like a 60-second speech or talk could be a little bit of a rant. I do financial coaching and try to help people wake up from the place that they're in right now and how they're going to move forward. Sometimes ranting is a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that as a piece?
A rant has an unhinged element to it. So I am not for a rant. Now, I can rant to all of you. Does that make sense, everybody? Because you're all in, right? You've come to my event. It's my event. On my stage, I can. And it needs to be a rant worthy of ranting. So you better be an interesting ranter. But in terms of doing that to get attention, in terms of using that for speaking, in terms of using that as your platform, I would say no, because that has an unhinged element to it. Dissenting opinion with a great speech that's inspire, educate, ask, motivate, that's where you want to go.
Okay, because some of your intro, Shanda's speech it seemed like a rant. What I'm thinking of as a rant. Like, wake up, you people, you got to do this. You got to learn that speaking is part of your whole presentation. You're not going to have a business with it. That kind of thing.
Well, maybe, and maybe this is semantics, but I hope you take this with the respect that I'm lending it. I can kind of rant. Most people can't. I have a preacher. There's a teacher style and a preacher style. I have very much a preacher style. A preacher style it tends to take the moral, or it tends to take the idea, and it will work it, it will work it, it will work it, it will work it. A teacher style takes the idea and will break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. So everybody is pretty much a preacher or a teacher style. If you can pull off a preacher style, awesome. I can't answer that question if you can, but when I say pull off, you have to be able to pull off a preacher style. You have to be able to do that, right? Or you just sound bitchy.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
I get the distinction. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for being here. Henry, go ahead. What's your question?
Painkillers. Thank you first for simplifying everything for me, blazing a trail. I definitely got the preacher style, improving teacher style, but I'm focusing on speaking, and I want people to get over stage fright, turn their leads, stop losing on their leads. What are good painkillers for business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs that are just screwing over their leads because they're not speaking their stage, they're not authentic in their conversation? How can I drive home multiple painkillers to where I'm just like, I can just do the lives. I don't got to do the big funnels and marketing campaigns. I can just keep hitting painkillers on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I will tell you, it's the answer is twofold. One is volume, right? And one is intention. And what I mean by that is, so I don't want to tell a fib, but I'm pretty sure I don't have a single funnel running right now. I don't think I have, I do on occasion, but I don't have a single funnel running right now, right?
Yeah.
It's like all I do is drive. I do three things, everybody. So my business does, depending on the year and depending on what we're launching and what we're doing, we'll do between $5 and $7 million a year, every single year for the last 14 years, right? And I only do three things. I speak on places that I book or buy, right? These first two. I speak in places that I book or buy. I book myself to speak or I buy a stage to speak, right? The second thing I do is I build my own stages. So I hold a masterclass, I hold a webinar, I do a Facebook Live. And the way we're driving traffic to that is either from the list we already have or some paid advertising. We take that paid advertising and drive it directly to the masterclass I'm holding or the webinar I'm holding. That's the second thing I do. And the third thing I do is events, my own events. And those first two, pretty much every time I speak, 80% of the time what I'm selling is a ticket to one of my events. That's all I do. So I don't have a bunch of back-end funnels running. My ad budget is, you would be shocked at my ad budget compared to everybody else's who makes what I make. It's small compared to most players. I really focus on buying, booking, building stages. That's all I do. 80% of the time, 80% of the time in these top two, because when you're doing your own stage, you make all kinds of offers. But in these two, about 90% is moving people to a ticket to one of my stages. And that's all I do. And you can do that. You do that consistently, Henry, the rest of the marketing can go away. I'm going to talk about speaker math tomorrow. Some of you have heard me share this on a small scale. Literally, all you have to do is speak. It's all you have to do.
Thank you.
Hope that helps. Thank you, Henry. Glad you're here.
Yeah. But
Lynn, go ahead. What's your question?
Sorry, I knew you were going to call on me as soon as I put a pretzel in my mouth.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So I'm a pretty new coach. I work with divorced women 40 plus. Do I need to, so based on my own life, online dating on and off for 10 years, got married last year. My free gift is about the 3 rules you need to date again. That you need to know now.
That's a process, not so that freebie, you want to change that because that's process oriented. You want outcome oriented.
So am I changing the whole content or am I changing just the title?
The content probably doesn't need changing. It's the title issue.
So change title to, sorry, I have COVID brain, sorry. Change the title to
outcome oriented, not process oriented. So that would be like 3 things you need to know to make money versus, right? Make $10,000 in 5 days. Do you see the difference? And then inside of that are the 3 things you need to do to make money. Don't try to sell process, sell outcome.
Okay. So to piggyback on that, so I do help with all like the online dating stuff, the profile, all the red flags and all that kind of stuff. My super passion is about all the inner work that needs to be done in order to have a healthy relationship and find somebody. Can my free gift be about that inner stuff, like the attitude you need, letting go of the baggage?
No, because somebody wakes up, nobody wants to go, you know what? I want to spend 6 months working on my inner self to go on a date. Nobody.
Okay.
Now, you and I both know people need to do that, but nobody wants to do that. So you have to use a gateway, everybody, that brings people in. And then once they're in, give them everything they need to be successful. But if you sell them hard work, they will not buy. That's a writer downer, everybody. You cannot sell hard work. You cannot sell hard work.
Okay, so my free gift needs to be more along like how to write a killer profile or something that they want right now that's going to get them in the door.
Yep.
Okay. And then my last question is, do I need to make a decision on if I'm working with women who are just too scared and haven't started dating yet? and people who are already dating just not having any luck? Do I need to make a decision for that?
No, I don't think so. I think you can cover both.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So happy you're here. Amy Jolly, what's your question?
Hi, thank you for taking questions. My question is about the bridge. When you talk about inspire, educate, ask, motivate, that bridge is where I get tripped up. Can you help clarify that, I guess, a little bit more?
Yeah, so basically you can't go and this is the third thing you need to do. So I have this program, right? So the bridge is something that gets people to take your content that you've shared and understand that that is useful, to have a buy-in to that they get that they need to do that, be that or have that. But there's an open loop from what you've shared and what will get them there, right? So it can be a test close, it can be a story. A test close can look like, okay, so let's just think about the day. Let's just pretend like we're in the day. And I said, so you're all seeing that you need a value proposition, you need great stories, and you need a great talk, right? Everybody agree with that? How many of you put me in the chat if you're like, I know I need those things and I am not done with them? Just put me in the chat if you 100% know you need them and you're not done with them yet after today. I get it. Okay, look at this. Me. Pretty much the whole room is saying me. Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. And my talk for the last 14 years that's generated me over $60 million wasn't built in a day. So I've got a way for you to work with me and my entire team. So we have a killer talk, a killer offer, and you can make multiple 6 or 7 figures from the stage in under 60 minutes. How many of you would be interested in that? Say yes in the chat. Awesome. Let me talk to you about what next step is. That's a bridge.
Okay.
There's a million ways to do a bridge, and it's tricky when I'm working with people in a limited amount of time, right? When I'm working with people in a limited amount of time, it's tricky because I build a bridge for every single client I work with. Some of them have 4 and 5. Sometimes it's a story. Sometimes it's a test close. Sometimes it's an open loop. Sometimes selling from the stage is an art form. It's science and art, but a lot of the pieces are art form. So I want you to get the framework for it, but know that it is something you build, right? And you may have multiple ones, one for a free offer and one for a paid offer.
Okay.
But that helped give you at least an understanding of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Evelyn, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi, Susan. Thank you. I have 2 questions. Number one, did you write that book? Everything, something you do for, what is it called? I just looked you up and I was wondering if this is you. The way you do anything is, yes, that's you. Awesome, because I was looking at your profile, it didn't come up. So
Yeah,
I was
that
like, this
was
is
my New York Times bestseller. Yep.
awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna definitely get that. Number 2, you are so skilled at telling stories. And when you said, okay, think back 48 hours, what did you do? And I'm racking my brain and I don't know how to incorporate all the stuff that would apply to my talk.
You're trying to make something apply. That's not what I asked you to do. I just asked you to tell me what are things that have happened to you in the last 48 hours. So give me something you came up with.
Interaction with my children and the cat.
It has to be specific. They threw spaghetti on you. They ran through the house with their pants down. It's not that's your problem. That's general. I mean, all of us got to breathe this morning, but you can't say, well, I was breathing all day. No, what is a specific thing that happened in the last 48 hours for you? Tell me something.
Well, this just came in. Can you see this?
Yeah. So you got
my husband just bought me flowers after many conversations about how much I feel loved when he buys me flowers. This is the first time in a very long time. This just happened, just right on cue.
So I'm sitting in my office in the middle of this conference. It was a wonderful conference. You should have seen this amazing presenter. I'm kidding, I'm joking about it. So I was sitting in this amazing conference, and I was really focused on building my business. I was focused on building my business, and all of a sudden I looked to my left, and there's this gorgeous bouquet of flowers. And they're from my husband, which how lucky am I? But really, what this is about is communication. And I realized that those flowers came out of me selling him. I sold him on the idea and the truth that I feel loved when I get flowers. I had to ask for that to happen. Does that make him wrong? No, it makes me right. It means that when you ask for what you want, you get it. And when those sat in front of me, I just beamed, and I did feel seen, and I did feel loved. So the more you sell people, the more love you will feel and the more love you will give. Do you see? I just took that. It can be anything. And I know I am skilled at this, but my client is skilled at this. Now, I'm super skilled. This is kind of my eating, breathing, sleeping, right? This is what I do. But I can call on a client. I do this all the time at my big 3-day events. This is the only events that I do not invite my clients to, my Inspired Speaker Lives, but we did invite them last minute. So some have been popping on and off. But I can call on any one of my clients and they will do that on cue.
Awesome. I'm going to learn that. Thank you.
We're excited for you.
I am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Krista, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi, Suzanne. I have a question on the process part of it because my focus is on helping families integrate their Catholic faith and Montessori principles, which I guess in my mind, that's more like the process. So it's helping them set up their home environment. Is that too specific, like when I'm getting into that?
Well, I'm a little confused because I'm not even sure what you do. So tell me what it is you do.
So I help them set up their home environment so they can integrate their Catholic faith with Montessori principles for their young children.
Are they homeschooling, or is it just a home environment?
Their home environment. They can be homeschooling. Their children are ages 2 to 5, so it just depends.
Okay. What I'm not seeing is a problem you solve. I'm seeing an idea, not a solution. So what's the problem that these families are having?
They're wanting to be able to they're familiar with Montessori, like the principles in terms of how to help engage their children with hands-on activities.
Yep.
And they want to continue to grow in their Catholic faith, and they're not sure how to integrate those two, like in their home.
Okay. Is this a big enough problem to build a business out of?
Well, that was part of it. Is there a way then to be able to connect with those specific families, or is it that they would even spend the money to do that?
I'm assuming you feel called to incorporate the Catholic piece into this.
Yep.
And I would say why?
Because I feel like parents want to know how to be able to pray with their children. Like, as a 3, 4, and 5-year-old, like, how do I pray with my children to help them fall in love with our Lord? But in a way that's using Montessori principles as well.
I'm telling you, that's a leap. That's a leap.
Okay.
Now, here's what I could see. I could see you saying, how do you help families set up Montessori homes that are faith-based? Right?
Yep.
How I help faith-based families set up Montessori homes. But when you get into that, like, how do you pray while being Montessori? I mean, I did Montessori with my son, and I'm going, that's a real leap. Like, that's a leap. And I think what you're a great example of is a Frankenstein, right? This is good for so many people. I so appreciate you asking this question. I call it a Frankenstein business. It's like, I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll, I'm a little bit Catholic, I'm a little bit Montessori, I'm gonna figure out how to put these together, and now it's a Frankenstein, right? It's like, be faith-based, right? You can use that, but find a problem you solve. And unless you know for a fact, if you did a study, there are tens of thousands, you really need hundreds of thousands of people Catholics in this country that are staying up at night going, how do I set up my home Montessori? That's a problem. It just feels like I think that you could work with families, how to create a Catholic framework in your home for your toddlers, right? I mean, I think that could be it. I think you could help set up Montessori schools, but those two things don't create a problem per se. Does that make sense?
Okay. I mean, because I initially started with like fostering focused faith and family to kind of stay away from the terms Montessori and Catholic. But I'm wondering, after listening to you today, if that's like too vague.
It is vague. It's
Yeah.
still vague. And the other thing you don't want to do is like, seems like you could really help a family that's not involved in Montessori,
For sure.
right? Or help a family that's Christian but not Catholic, right? Like,
Right.
right? So it feels like if you want to help Christian families set up dynamic Montessori homes where children thrive, I can see that because you're making your target market Christians. You're not trying to define Christianity and Montessori as a problem. Does that make sense? See the difference there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it just needs a tweak.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Jasmine, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi. So I help entrepreneurs become visible, get comfortable on camera so that they can make more money. And so I'm working, I've got all my homework for today. But my question is more maybe it's more shallow. I don't know. Because I also I pay the fat tax, I pay the black tax, I pay the woman tax. So there's a lot of tax that goes on. And I'm vibrant, dynamic, and I love sparkly, just all the glitter shit, right? So everything that I've done so far is on video, and I used to do stages way back when. But I would love to do more like in-person events. And so can you be too sparkly? Can you show I mean, I'm big busted. I like cleavage. But I'm not slutty cleavage.
Wait. I don't know if sparkle is a metaphor or we're really talking about sparkles.
Glitters. I love glitter. Sequins and just.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
I don't mean serious, like I know you're being serious, but it's not a metaphor. We're really talking about
Not a metaphor. Not a metaphor.
So here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about speaker style a little bit.
Yes.
3 things. I wish I could do a whole event on this. I do when you're in my program. I literally spend about a half a day all on style and speaker, but let me give you my 45-second version. Always dress one level a bit above your audience. Everybody write that down. That's step number 1. I don't think with all of her sparkles, she's going to have that problem, but dress one level above your audience. That's number 1. Number 2,
Okay.
dress to distract.
Okay.
Now, I don't know to the level of that would be a distraction, but the problem is that, like, you can take Dolly Parton as an example. She has made it a caricature. She intentionally is a caricature of herself. My business partner, don't dress to distract, is what I said, Jill. Don't dress to distract. If I show up and what I wear is distracting, man, that's a problem for your talk. But I'll give you an example. My buddy, Larry Wingett, who was my business partner and part of my speaking business training for a decade, he was one of the highest paid keynoters in history that wasn't a celebrity. He's in the National Speakers Hall of Fame. He wore these outrageous cowboy shirts, right? That had dollar signs on them and he wore all these rings and jewelry. And he was a mind-blowing speaker. And he made it a part of his brand. So there is a way to make it a part of your brand, but here's the order in which that goes. You become amazing, and then you can do whatever the hell you want. But until you become amazing and you become known, have fun. If you like sparkle and glitter, wear that, but don't wear it to the point of distracting from your talking.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so maybe a sparkly skirt with a plain-ish silk blouse.
You got it. You got it.
Okay. Thanks. I like to steal the show, but I don't want to,
You just want, this is about your speaking,
Yeah.
about your shirt, right? That's
exactly.
Right? So sparkle away, but I want you to sparkle, not necessarily your clothes to be a distraction. Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Judy, go ahead. What's your question?
Unmuted.
Yes.
I appreciate some help with being more specific with the languaging for my ideal client and value proposition.
what I wrote is I'm an intuitive neuroemotional healer.
I said that I will answer questions. I'm not doing value proposition approvals.
Oh, okay.
Um,
How to focus if I've helped women with a lot of things using deep neuroemotional processes. And
That's the process. All you're talking to me about is the process. All I care about is the outcome.
Well, I'm helping women who are stopped by current life events release the root cause so they can move
That's all
forward.
process. So let me just tell you, everybody that's had a problem with this, you don't have a problem you solve. You just have a process. That's like saying, I do NLP with people. That's a process. I do EFT with people. That's a process. I do business coaching with people. That's a process. But the outcome is, if I just said, I help people by doing business coaching, I get some people interested in me. But when I say I help entrepreneurs make 6 and 7 figures in under 60 minutes speaking from the stage, that solves the problem. I need to make money and I need to make it fast. You're not solving a problem. Right? So this isn't just for you. This is for a lot of people who have raised their hand. And after I talked to my coaches today as well, solve a problem and it has to be tangible. Yeah.
If the woman feels stopped and can't move forward.
In what? Like, is she stopped in a parking lot? Is she stopped on a, what does that even mean?
Oh gosh.
Move forward around her career, move forward around her love life, move forward in losing weight. It has to be specific.
And since I've done all of that, it has to be
Oh, you cannot
one.
do it all. Pick a horse and ride it. Pick a horse and ride it. Yeah. This is where people really struggle their whole lives just to kind of make money in business. You look at every great success story, you know exactly what they do. I said, what does Russell Brunson do? You said funnels. I said, what does Amy Porterfield do? People would say courses. What does Brendon Burchard do? Right? Like whatever I say, I need to be able to yell out your name in a room and people go, speaking, weight loss, childhood abuse trauma. Like they need to be able to yell out what you do. Does that make sense, everybody? Awesome. All right. Thank you, Judy. Cedra, I think I'm saying that right. Cedra, what's your question?
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for this day. It's been amazing. I love you in this space. My experience of you here is just so enrolling and natural. And in the other space, it was like, okay, there was a show, but this is like the real you. I've seen you like this before, and I love this version of you. So I implemented one of the things.
One version of me, just so you know. No, be careful with that. Be careful with that. This is about
the fancier one.
This is about you. This ain't about me.
I love that. I love that. I received that coaching.
Yeah, just because my hair is done by somebody else, I'm still the same Suzanne.
Yes.
Just that.
And I love your post about the before and then the after. That was so awesome. So my question really is more like I implemented one of the lessons today. I implemented it on social media and I already got 4 people in my Calendly. And so now, for something that's kind of up and coming, I did that while I was in this course. And so I'm like, okay, so now what? So the question is, what do I do between now and the event? It's going to be a workshop. What do I do between now and then to keep these people activated and also?
Yeah, send them some videos, send them some little worksheets, send them some great emails with content, give them some little actions, homeworks, to-dos. Just keep them hot and keep them connected and moving forward.
Okay. And so so at the workshop, I'm going to sell them something. I'm going to sell them something at the workshop. So the methodology I'm following is speak, make an offer, and get them in the room, serve, then sell. Is that the methodology? This is my model that I'm thinking that I'm following right now.
No, I mean, there is no model.
Okay.
You get people into a room, you're really good at what you do. You over-deliver what you promised. You have a great offer that is a logical next step for people, and you offer that and enroll. I think I don't love the question. I'm just being honest with you.
Me either. I don't love the question either. I'm like, because I had a question and it was answered. I had a question that was answered. But my question really, I really want to know, like, once I'm speaking, I speak every day now. Okay, I speak every day, but when I'm speaking, I get to speak and serve and not just speak to just talk. So
serve, I speak to sell.
okay, speak to sell. So speak
Oh,
to
let me be very clear.
okay.
What's the point of me speaking if I'm not going to offer something? I am not a not-for-profit. I am not a ministry. I am someone who, quite frankly, everybody in this room is, I mean, I hope that you feel like I'm delivering. I hope you feel like I delivered today and I'm delivering now. So certainly I want to do that. But the truth of the matter is, the most successful people in this room will be people who do something with me past tomorrow. Those will be the most successful people in the room. And so I'm very clear. I have a moral obligation to sell as many of you as I can. Absolutely. Because when you'll meet Veronique tomorrow, who met me making zero and she now has a $3 million business. You met Danella today. When she met me, her business was falling apart and now she does 500,000. You met Rick today. He lost 32,000 on an event and then 250,000. Shanda, many of you came from Shanda. I met Shanda. She was doing a couple of $100,000 a year. She worked with me on her speaking and built a multiple $1 million business while coaching with me. So I am here to sell things. I am speaking to sell. Run the money. Let's put it in the chat. Let's not get sleepy here, people. Run the money. Run the money. And I know that when I am using stories and I am connecting and I'm making you feel something and I'm delivering great content and I'm being specific, I know that you are being served, but I also know the time I have with people is limited. So I'm going to give all I can, but the people who make $1 million this year, they'll do something with me besides tomorrow. And what I would say, the question you're asking is you need coaching. You desperately need coaching. If you're running an event and that's the question you're asking, you don't have a ticket map, you don't have a PAG, you don't have an event matrix, you don't have an offer matrix. I know that just from the question you're asking.
Yeah, I'm in MML, so I'm thinking that some of that will come from that. However, I see that I'm in Shanda's MML. However, I see that there's two different lanes because Shanda came out of your downline. So I see the difference. I see that there's one thing may be systems, but the other thing may be the
I mean MML, and I'm not involved in her program, obviously, but we know each other's programs. Like speaking has nothing to do with that. That's business strategy, business coaching. But if you're going to run events and you're going to sell from the stage and you're going to speak, totally different skill set, right? But listen, you go in and be great. You have a great offer. Tomorrow, this will probably be fleshed out a little more for you, even, and go knock them dead. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. David, go ahead. What's your question, David?
Well, I had two questions. They're a little bit different than some of the others, but in any case, so I had a couple of major spiritual experiences, and basically in the first one, so I was raised Jewish. Both my parents are Jewish. Jesus showed up in my first spiritual experience. It was God, Mother Nature, and Jesus, and then sometime later, I thought God wanted me to be a
Okay, wait. Let me help you. Start with my question is.
My question is, if I say that I thought I was a born-again Christian and then God told me I was Jewish, would that offend Christians?
I don't think I think it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Let me ask you a couple of questions to get clear. Maybe it's irrelevant, maybe it's not irrelevant, but what is it you're going to speak on? What's the problem you saw?
Mental illness and trauma.
Okay, for what purpose?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what I mean is you can't just say I fix mental trauma. So when you work with me, you release trauma
I help people go from traumatized to self-actualized.
But for what purpose?
So that they can become their truth and live their dream.
Okay, in what industry? In what is it?
Whatever the fuck they want to do. It's their dream, it's their life.
But you can't, that's hard to sell. That's hard to sell. So
become the person they're meant to be.
So it's not super tangible, right? It's not super tangible. And some things in personal development aren't as tangible as other areas, but here's what would be tangible. I'm making this up. I'm not saying this is what you do. It's just a sample. I help people clear their emotional, their emotional trauma, so that they become self-actualized and actually have a healthy, loving marriage, relationship, and finally have a successful career. And finally, blah, 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 blah. So, David, you don't have to, we're not going to do this in this moment, but I encourage you to find a more clear next step. Does that make sense? Because that's going to help you with your target market.
I think that's gonna. I get what you're saying, but
I know, listen, I'm going to share with you what I share with you. You can do with it what you want to do with it. But that's that.
like, who am I to determine what kind of relationship they should have? And if I say marriage, what about somebody who doesn't
Doesn't
believe
want
it?
that. That's not your client. This is exactly how business, so I'm going to use you as a sample and example. This is exactly how businesses get built. You eliminate people who aren't right fit. Remember, this key to success is not pre-qualification, it's disqualification. That's a writer downer.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
Repeat.
I'm no one to set anybody up for marriage.
I'm not saying that you're doing marriage.
No, I know. I just.
Okay.
To me, if I pick a type of relationship or if I pick a type of career, I'm limiting.
Yes, the path to money is limiting.
I understand
The more
that.
you limit, the more you make. The more you limit, the more you make. So let's move on from this, because if we're not going to agree, and it's not my job to convince you. This is what I do for a living. This is what I've been successful at. It's what I'm successful at helping other people with. I don't mean this any disrespect. I don't care what you do with it. That's your decision, right? That's your life. That being said, your second question was about the story. I'm not sure how that story relates. Maybe it relates, you're thinking it relates because of the actual, like being self-actualized and you having this experience. But this is a me story, and I don't think it's going to be very interesting to a universal audience. So I don't know that this is a necessary story. I don't think it's offensive to answer that, but I'm just not sure that it's the best story for you to lead with. So yeah, but I don't think it's going to offend. I mean, maybe it'll offend somebody, but that's also not something you need to overly worry about. But I think a slightly more universal we story in helping with self-actualization would be more powerful for you. Does that make sense?
Can I say going from people with trauma, going from surviving to thriving? Is that close enough or no?
It's just, I would just love for you to take thriving and just spend some time defining it. That's it, right? Define thriving. What does it look like? How do you touch it? What does it feel like? That works, and it's a good starting place.
I could say better relationships, but I don't want to say a kind. I don't want to say marriage or whatever, but okay.
I use that as an example.
Right. I know.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, David. I appreciate you being here. Okay, Jill Douglas, what's your question?
Awesome, thank you. So what was my question? Holy cow, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so a couple questions about the story. How in general how do you figure out what is your signature talk? Like, how would I figure out which I want to just roll with it? I want to be able to use it again and again, signature talk.
Today, inspire, educate, act, motivate. I have used the same talk for 14 years.
Like, do you come from with your people, or picking which story you're going to use? Because of course we all have thousands, but do you start with the end in mind, what you want the people to eventually go forward with you? Like, I know you talked about this today, but just like in my brain.
It's thinking about what your offer is, and you reverse engineer, right? So my offer is going to be, a 30-day to fat loss, right? I'm thinking about, okay, what is the content needed for them to take, right, a next step into that? And what's going to be, your inspired part doesn't really much, right? But yes, you're always reverse engineering from your offer. Absolutely. But that's really your value proposition is also your offer, right? I mean, if my value proposition is I help entrepreneurs make 6 and 7 figures in under 60 minutes speaking from the stage, that's going to be some version of my offer. Come to my Inspired Speaker Live where I'm going to teach you how to do it. Your VP kind of is your offer, if you will.
Yeah. I'm in the whole making it more tangible moment with some of the people here because it's the personal, purpose, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm just going to dig deep in that, but then I think the rest will be more clear because then you know exactly what they're dealing with. So it's easy.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheryl, go ahead. What's your question? And I'm going to have you pause, Cheryl. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay.
The hands that I see up, I'm going to dive to get through. So the hands that are up are all the hands that I'm going to take, but I'm going to jump in to do that. But I do want to say something before some people I know may have to pop off. And let me just make sure, yeah, there it is. So some of you have written into us, some of you have asked us, you're like, I know Suzanne's gonna make an offer tomorrow. Surprise, jazz hands, I am. Yes, we actually have some very significant bonuses tomorrow. Yes, one of the offers I will make is my higher level, a one-to-one work with me in which you have 24/7 access to me. You have Marco Polo access to me. I am working with you. I'm creating your offers. I'm supporting you. I'm coaching you, all that. And at this time, going into next year, we only have 4 of those spots available. So here's what I'm inviting you to do. If somebody is like, before Suzanne makes that offer tomorrow, I'd like to hear it tonight, right? Like, I'd love to just have a few minutes with a coach. You'll notice the breakout rooms are at the bottom of the screen. At any time tonight, you can pop into a breakout room and Susan, Kathy, or Amanda will chat with you about what I'm going to be sharing tomorrow, and you just get a sneak peek. You get a sneak peek. If you're like, this is what I want next year, I would love to work with Suzanne and have super high access to her. It's really Suzanne in your pocket. That's going to go very quickly. Paige is saying me, just at any point tonight, it can be after I'm done tonight if you want to hang out for a little bit, but if somebody had to go ahead and leave and they wanted to do that, you just go down to the breakout room. Nathan, Paige, Raja, you'll go to the breakout room, coaches are there, and they'll just have a quick chat with you. I'll announce this again at the end, but I know some of you may have obligations tonight, you may need to step away, and we've gotten quite a few inquiries already. So if you do want to have that conversation, go down to breakout room. It's right at the bottom of your screen. And Susan, Kathy, somebody's saying they don't see breakout rooms. Are you guys seeing it? Is anybody else seeing it? I just want no, nobody's seeing it.
I'm doing it. I just opened it so they can now join their room. They should see a thing popped up.
Give me a thumbs up if you see it now. It should be okay, great. So we're going to keep going and I'll share this again. But again, I do have some juicy.
Hey, Amanda, I have it.
Oh, Amanda,
I'm sorry. I'm talking over you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So anyway, that's that. Who did I have on mute? I apologize. Go ahead.
Me, Cheryl's here.
Cheryl.
Hi, thank you. So I help people with permanent weight loss without starving or crazy workouts.
Great.
And my question was, so I feel pretty confident with the inspire and the educate piece, and I'm just struggling with how do I dive into that invite piece. Because I'm thinking of like, hey, if you knew there was a simple plan that if you followed it, you would lose weight, would you be interested? But I don't know if that's just jumping too fast.
No, it's not jumping too fast. And I would say it's a way to do it. It's a bit pedestrian. So working with me, one of the ways that we really build bridges is you actually have to go out and speak. You have to make a bunch of free offers, and then we kind of incorporate your feedback from that. That's one of the things we do, but it's a fine way to do it. It is. You will eventually grow yourself into being a bit more sophisticated than that, right? But if you haven't made a lot of offers yet, it's a really good place to start.
Okay. And then when I do get more speaking under my belt, am I taking the feedback from what other people say and then just turning that? No.
Feedback you take is credit cards. Oh, guys, I need you to hear me. You are speaking to sell, so that you don't want a bunch of people giving you feedback. This is why people work with me. I'm like, stop taking feedback, right? Stop trying to get a shirt from a shirtless man, right? Your feedback are takers on your freebie and credit cards. And then it's And then it's after you have your freebie. Yes, Zena, run the money, right? And that's I don't want standing ovations. I want credit cards, right? I want people to go, yes, you can solve my problem. Yes, work with me for 6 months or work with me for a year so that when I take a stage, people rush to the back of the room. If you were at Shanda's, you saw 200. Were you at Shanda's? I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're on here and you were from Alina's the other night, right? We had 80% of the room step into our offer. If you're, that's what you are looking towards. And that is an evolution. But what you just said is a good place to start.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So welcome. I'm happy you're here. Awesome. Tony Stark Palici. Is that it? What in
That's it. Hey, Susan. Yeah, it's my real name. I'm about 30 minutes away from leaving my kid's apartment in Studio City and getting back to Phoenix. But you're not taking questions on the statements, right?
I mean, ask me a question on it. Yeah.
You know, I'm really great at creating messaging for everybody else, but I have a blog when it comes to myself. And the one that I came up with was I write words and design marketing to make business owners and entrepreneurs more well-known and wealthy. And I felt like, man, that just sounds so cerebral. You know,
well, would you just look at me and tell me what you do?
I write direct response copy that makes you more well-known and creates conversions.
That was great, the second thing you said.
Okay.
And this is what happens when we try to, and it's so funny, right? The writers, right? The writers,
Yep.
The singers can't sing, right? We're all that way. But when the second thing I said, oh, he's a sweet man trying to build a marketing business. When you first said it, that's what I thought. When you said, I write direct response, I went, oh, that's somebody I'd hire. Because it's clear. You don't want anybody to hire you who doesn't know what direct response copy is, right? They're probably not going to be sophisticated enough to buy it. And then you said that, you might want to say, I mean, it could be as simple as I write direct response copy and marketing that gets you known and gets you conversions. Just say that. I'm like, oh my God, right? I mean, we're all wanting that. We're all wanting, any sophisticated business owner knows that direct response copy is the hardest thing to write. So you want to make sure you're getting to people like myself who know that's hard, know what it means, and know what it means to convert.
Okay, great. Thank you, Susan.
Awesome. Thank you. Jill, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi, I think I'm getting a little bit confused on the freebie offer. As far as like if we're having more than one or there's only one, and like the webinar thing, for example, I'm doing a webinar and I'm also having my first speaking engagement in a few months. And my thought was I'm trying to get people to a free call to then see if they want to do my 3-month coaching program. But then when you were talking to the girl today about doing the 30-minute call for $297 or whatever, I just wasn't sure about that.
I'm not sure what you're at. So you should be doing something. You should be making a free offer. They get on the phone with you and then you offer your product, program, or service.
So, but that's what I already do. So I offer a free kind of a consult, but then
it can't be called a consult because nobody wants to consult with you. Right? Not you, I mean you in particular. Like nobody wants to consult. None of us got up at 3 o'clock this morning, walking the halls going, if I could just consult with someone, right? No, we want a solution. So what is the problem you solve?
So I help Christian moms. I just go from struggling. I help Christian moms struggling with control live their life on purpose.
I don't know what life on purpose means. How can you not be on purpose?
That's what we came up with in the breakout room. Oh no.
Yeah, let's
okay. Sorry. Okay.
What does mean?
What's that?
What does on purpose mean?
Intentionality, with intention.
Nobody's going to pay for intention.
Oh, I'm telling. I told the girl today, the coach today, I've been struggling with this for 2.5 years.
Yeah. And listen, on purpose is a good starting place. I'm just getting able to take you next level, which is what I'm doing here. I don't like you. What is the problem that women are talking about? There has to be a problem. They're not sitting around saying, you know what, I'm not intentional. They're just not saying that.
They want to control. It's the people around. It's basically everything around them. But it's so many things because I work with Christian moms. I know that part, but it's like there's so many things that I have, like I said, for 2.5 years, I've struggled to get my messaging clear.
And you're struggling with decision. That's a big difference. Do you know how many problems y'all have in this room?
Yeah, right. A ton. Sorry, maybe.
No, not you, Jill. Everybody else too. Y'all got a lot of problems, but I solve one: making fast money. That's what I do. You're in this room and you want to make fast money, you better stick with me tonight, tomorrow, for the rest of the year. And I know how to make fast money. I also know that some of you have team issues. I know some of you have messaging issues. I know some of you have sales issues. You have all those issues. But I'm not addressing all of those issues. I'm choosing one. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs make fast money, and the fastest way to make money is through speaking. You're just not picking one. I know Christian moms struggle with their relationships. They struggle with their kids. They struggle with, they've left themselves behind. They struggle with guilt. They struggle with all of those things, but you have to choose one of them.
Okay.
You have to choose a specific problem. This isn't a messaging issue. This is a decision issue. Make sense? Awesome.
Thank you.
Gotta choose one. You got to choose one. Nasima, go ahead. What's your question?
Hi, Suzanne. I didn't get the chance to speak to Coach earlier, so I just wanted to make sure that my value proposition is.
I'm going to be very clear. I'm not going to answer value propositions because that just becomes a line of 100 people asking value proposition. Happy to answer a question.
I know.
The question is.
Okay, my question is then about my free offer. Is that okay with you? Yeah? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I decided to offer a free session, a 1-hour free session with me, and I called it, where it is? I called it from imposter to recognized leader.
Okay, I hear that, and I don't exactly know what would happen for me in a session. Like,
okay,
leader for what purpose?
So actually, I help coaches get in front of leads, okay, qualified leads, and make money in a couple of days.
Let's just be clear. You help coaches get in front of the right leads and convert them to, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your freebie could be something like, from invisible to invincible in business, right? From invisible to invincible session. How, and then the tagline, right, could be like, how to go from an unknown coach to an unstoppable coach, right? And I'm not, the tagline isn't tangible enough. How to go from an unknown coach to an unstoppable coach making consistent money, right? So that has I didn't even know you were like a business coach who worked with coaches. So you got to be really careful that you either have a tagline or have something like that. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Kathy, go ahead and unmute yourself. While you're unmuting yourself, team Jane Miller needs help. I'm sure that you guys are helping her. She needs to get back to Susan. And for those of you, a couple people have DM'd me. Yes, if you're just curious what next step is before I share it tomorrow, and I will be sharing it tomorrow, so you don't have to talk to the coach. But if you're like me, you want to be first in line, you can just go down to the breakout room and click breakout room, and you'll go to one of the coaches. Kathy, what's your question?
Hi, Suzanne. So good to see you, and thank you for everything. I help, I've got 2 avatars. I help I help business owners reverse pre-diabetes in 90 days without giving up taste. And then I also help people who want to prep, or women who want to prep their body for pregnancy without the emotions or expense of IVF treatments.
Yeah.
So basically, what sugar and inflammation. But go ahead.
This really quick. Both are very clear, so I want to commend you for that. But both are different. And
I know.
Struggle speaking because I'm from somebody who went through IVF for years. I get the struggle. Man, that is such a painful, sad, hard, physically painful, emotionally painful struggle. And I know where you could go speak to those people.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you could talk to, and I don't even know that it has to be business owners. I think it could be professionals, right? I hope professional. That's actually better and less limiting for you.
Yeah.
You could go speak to those people, but it's a totally different market. So you're really at a place where you've got to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, I've been working with the pre-diabetics and folks that want to get power over sugar, basically.
Yeah.
And I see an opportunity to really move into my passion, or not my vision, which is to prevent diabetes in 1 million people. And that starts with moms, but it doesn't matter, yeah?
No, it doesn't matter. So go the diabetes route and you're going to get some moms. I mean, there's going to be professionals that are moms, right? And I think if you're like, I help professionals prevent diabetes so that, they live better, they're healthier, and it doesn't affect their income, doesn't affect their career, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.